I work in RIA tech stacks every single day. I'm the guy who sets up, supports the software that financial advisors use, and my team too. But in today's video, I'm breaking down the 3 most asked about tax planning tools, how they work, what to know, and is it worth you spending your time going through a demo, or is it even a good fit for your business? That is Holistiplan, FP Alpha, and Covisum. And I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not here to tell you which tax strategy to run or anything like that. I am a techie. I love tech. I like looking at the specs, the stats, the pricing, the features, what's actually included, and a user experience, because that is also a massive thing as well. So I've pulled all of the information straight from the vendors' websites. This is all verified by me, and just going through the experience that I have had learning about these tools. And while I don't have the conversations of how do you run this type of tax strategy with them, I do like to know how it works. Where's the data stored? How long is that data being stored there? Now, some of them were a little bit harder to get this information. They don't just readily offer it, but while others were fairly easy. How are you doing? My name is Harrison Barron from SecureWealthIT.com. We help financial firms just like you make sure that they make the best decisions when it comes to tech, and also help you support your entire system, all while being safe, secure, and compliant with the SEC and other regulatory bodies. If you want to learn more about us, you can head over to SecureWealthIT.com. We have a ton of information on our website, who we are, who we help, how we help them, industries that we service, right? And really the tools that we work with. So registered independent advisors, broker dealers, financial advisors. And if you're just thinking about it, you'll probably get a ton of information if you want to use any of these tools. We have some resources on here. I have a really cool resource coming very, very soon on how to pick your tech stack. It's going to go through, ask you a bunch of questions, and actually give you a plan right off the bat that'll work out of the box. So let's talk about why this matters now. Tax planning software used to be a nice to have, right? Oh, it's nice that you had it. What we have seen is now it's kind of a mandatory, you have to have it. It is a core part of every RA's tech stack. And if you're not dealing with that, I'm not really too sure what to tell you, because I mean, I can tell you 100% of our clients are either asking about tax planning software or have tax planning software. We have no customers that are just not interested at all. But some quick information: more than 40% of advisors already use Holistiplan, which is quite interesting, and I'm going to come back to that. In 2025, Holistiplan changed its pricing model, which is quite interesting, and that shook up the market, and it opened the door for competitors, which is quite interesting. So FP Alpha and Right Capital both launched cheaper alternatives right after. And AI is also changing how these tools actually work and how you can interact with these tools. So new players are entering the space every few months, because you have things like vibe coding, which is creating tools with software. And while this can be great for competition, there's more and more in the category, but the leaders are still there, and that is what the goal of this is, to talk about the leaders. So let's talk about the first one, which is going to be Holistiplan. Let me share my screen here so I can go through this with you. So let's talk about Holistiplan, because Holistiplan is, in my opinion, super polished, really cool tools here. And it is also the leader of the pack. It was founded in 2019 by Roger Pine and Kevin Lauser, both former advisors. So it's not like we're getting something that really isn't tried and true and tested. And today it holds almost 39% market share, 40. And look, to be fair, I don't want to lie to you. There's no way to know. They say that they pay for studies. This is just what I could find on the internet. There is no way to go to every single advisor and say, hey, what do you use, right? Obviously, I have anecdotal evidence for my customers, but that's still not enough that it actually makes sense. But between 39 and 40% allegedly is their market share, which is still pretty darn impressive. And it is the largest in the tax planning industry, right? As far as for financial advisors. And it's a really cool platform. I've had a great experience in looking at it, testing it, seeing what it actually does, enjoying it with our clients here. And here's how it works. You upload a client's tax return. The software scans it in under a minute using OCR, optical character recognition. Pricing is based on household count, which is nice. It kind of does it all. Now, one of the things that I think really stands out about Holistiplan, and I do want to stray away from that for a second, is the coolest part is it is under human review if OCR can't scan it. Now, if you don't know what OCR is, OCR is a common acronym in our world called optical character recognition. Basically, it says, and I was speaking at the Rotary the other day, so I'm going to use the Rotary magazine, right? If you took a screenshot of this magazine, or basically any of these pages, doesn't particularly matter who, these pages are full of words and text. Obviously, there's some pictures as well. Now, instead of scanning it in like you're probably normally used to, you would be able to go back and access the Rotary magazine and be able to go through that. But the difference is, and the reason this is actually important, is because OCR allows it to grab all of that information and grab the actual text on the page, right? In this case, it would actually, if you scan this in, it would say, I still remember the book that changed everything, right? That's the first line in the section. And you'd be able to not only search it, use it, pull information from it, and have a real archive of data instead of just kind of pictures that somebody would have to go through and read every single thing. That's really where the magic actually happens. So it scans it typically in under a minute, sometimes a little bit longer if it's beat up, crumpled, things like that. And if it doesn't pass that, and this is one of the things that I thought was really interesting that I didn't know about until I spoke to them, is it actually goes under human review, which is a massive, massive win. And they have people that work, and that is their only job. While I might not agree that it is probably the most fun job, it is their only job is to make sure that you get the best response back with the actual text that is on it. So that's always super cool, right? The pricing is based on household count. I'll kind of just show you what that looks like here. So you have annual and then you have monthly. I like to look at monthly. Everyone's probably going to buy annually to save it, but monthly is nice. 75 households, $160 a month. 75 households, $200 a month. You have your basic tax and then premium tax. If you look at annual, it's $15.99 versus $19.99. So it's really not that big of a difference between the two of them. And you could see here, automated federal tax returns, all that good stuff right there, making it really, really, really simple. And both scale up as your household grows. So you can go through, grab this. If you have a ton of households, 750, 1149 here, and then 1544, basically, right? It is that simple as far as using it, going through the whole thing. And I gotta say, like, using the platform is super, super nice. If I go to the actual platform here and click into it, I mean, it's just simple, it's easy to use, and I gotta say, from a GUI, a graphical user interface is what GUI stands for, from me, it is phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed getting the demo, looking at it, and I was like, wow, this just makes so much sense. It basically cuts out all the fat and makes life really, really simple. Now, I will also tell you that with that being said, it is very good at the only thing that it does, which is tax planning. It doesn't have any other bells and whistles. It doesn't, and it doesn't need to, as far as I'm concerned, right? It is the best looking, easiest to use interface of the three, bar none. So your staff is going to pick it up fast. It is very, very straightforward. There's nothing actually confusing about any of this, but it just gives you really, really nice graphs, and it's just, honestly, it's just phenomenal. It's also geared towards CPAs, as you just saw there, but it's fast, it's quick, it's easy, and it's super visually appealing. You're going to get great responses out of it. You're going to get great reports out of it, and that's the nicest part about it, is it is super, super simple. Now, let's talk about the next tool, which is FP Alpha. Now, this is founded by Andrew Altfest, is how you say his name, a practicing CFP. And I love when people make tools inside the industry. So I'm going to just pull them up as well, and you can kind of see their stuff. So here's the tax snapshot, right? 3.0, a scale advanced beyond planning and upload clients' tax returns. Once again, they are also very, very similar in a lot of different ways. So FP Alpha started as an all-in-one platform, tax, estate, and insurance, which I'm not necessarily against kind of doing a lot, but also at the same time, if you do a lot of things, it's really hard to do certain things really, really well. But this is software, and you can constantly be adding onto those things. That move kind of positions it as a lower cost alternative to Holistiplan because it's doing more things, not less. And in here you have the actual pricing here. So it's $11.95 or $19.95 for the year, right? If you want tax planning, $11.25, $17.90, or insurance planning, $8.70 for the year. And you can see here credits. You get credits include 75 snapshots. One tax document is covered by a snapshot. So it essentially is 75 tax documents on there. Or you get the 1995, which includes 55 snapshots, 35 tax snapshots, 10 estate snapshots, and 10 insurance snapshots. The pricing to me seems a little strange. It's just a little bit harder to consume. I promise you, as you begin to use it more and more, it'll just increase in price, but that's typically all softwares. And then the package also includes unlimited one-to-one customer support, which I am a huge fan of, unlimited logins, dashboards. They also have a bit of AI built into the tool here, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. And it's pretty straightforward as far as what you actually get inside the platform. And it uses AI to read the tax software, which is actually a little bit different than how Holistiplan uses it. So Holistiplan uses optical character recognition. Now, OCR has been around for 10 plus years. I want to say like 15, maybe even longer years. That, you know what, we're going to check it. I don't want to give you bad information. So a quick Google search. It was invented for computers in 1954. So it's been around for a very, very long time. I was going to say, I know it's been around, but even some of the newer scanners will automatically pull the text, which is super, super cool. And then it kind of got modernized and was actually first rolled out, not that I'm sure anyone really cares about, but for Reader's Digest to convert typewritten sales and subscriber data into punch cards for computer input. So that's really when it all happened. But it's looking for optical characters that it could actually pick up. Now, technology has made it phenomenal. AI, on the other hand, is trying to basically take a screenshot and transcribe it in real time. And there's some other tools and ways that AI can grab that and digest it down really, really quickly. Both essentially get you to the same end goal. AI might be able to fill in some gaps. OCR might throw an error or say, hey, we can't get this. And in which case, Holistiplan is going to go through. Where AI, I've used it for tons of things, and it has been phenomenal. So also super, super reliable. And they're kind of moving the needle in the right direction as far as using AI and integrating it with the platform. I know some people don't love it. It could technically be wrong. OCR is just using software, where AI is, well, yes, it's using software. It's using artificial intelligence versus a tried and true method of OCR. I don't think one is better than the other. I've had phenomenal success with both. And I don't know anybody in the IT industry that's like, you have to use AI or you have to use OCR. Phenomenal experiences across the board here. The only one of the three that actually converts or covers tax, estate, and insurance in a tool. That is kind of nice to have that. And I'll go back to share my screen here, because you're going to look at it and you're going to compare other ones. If that's something that you're actually looking for, I'm just going to pull up the pricing because it's easiest. If you're looking for the tax planning, the estate planning, and the insurance planning, it is the only one that does that kind of all-in-one together. So that could make sense to you. And you might say, hey, no, I want other tools that automatically or that do that as well. That's where things can get a little murky, because I kind of like an all-in-one if you use it correctly. However, if there are tools that are specialized to do their job. So it's really what makes sense for you. But if you want tax, estate, and insurance under one login, this is definitely the platform. Now, I will say, in my experience in playing around with it, it is a little less polished. And what I mean by that is, when you go to Holistiplan, it just feels cohesive and together. Now, in the case of FP Alpha, not that it doesn't feel together, but it's not as simple to use. Obviously, it has three tools built into one. So it's going to be a little bit more of a headache to actually get through it. Other than that, though, I mean, the platform is fantastic. The reports are really, really nice. It's just a bit of a beefier platform. So you're not going to jump in like Holistiplan and just immediately start doing it. It's going to take a little bit more getting to know the platform, but they have that unlimited one-on-one support, which is really, really nice. You get comprehensive reports, the tax snapshot, the estate snapshot, and the comprehensive report all together. You can go through, you can see the FP Alpha story, solutions, right? Estate planning, and this video is about tax planning. So we're going to go down to tax planning here. You see the tax snapshot, it looks good. The tax projector tool, it looks good. It's fairly simple. As a techie, I am a sucker for dark mode, that dark version in the background. We typically don't love light screens in the tech world. I don't know why, but I'd much rather look at a dark screen with white text than a white screen with dark text. It's just how the tech people roll. And then last but not least, Covisum, however you want to say it. This is kind of an interesting one, because there were some things that threw me off, and I had to do a lot of deep diving on this platform. And this is not my goal is not to bash anybody or anything like that here, but this was founded by Joe Lacer, a practicing CFP based in Omaha. This one works differently than the other two. There's no tax return upload, no OCR. You have to enter data manually, which kind of is a bit of a bummer. Now, I will say, in my experience, I am a human just like you are. Something about entering data manually is kind of nice. And you remember it. You'll see things that might catch your eye to give advice on. On the flip side of things, I also don't like doing that much work. I like things to be easy. Oh, no OCR, no AI, making it a bit more of a pain in the butt. You have to enter the data manually. So if you're somebody that likes to enter data manually and really feel that kind of touch with it, you're gonna like that one, right? But what it does really well is it visualizes effective margin tax rates. That's what it's good at. And you can see here the Covisum suite or the Covisum suite. Income insight, tax clarity, smart risk, right? Social security timing. This is definitely like a less sexy version of the other two. And my goal is, like I said, not to beat them up or anything like that. But if you go through pricing here, you could see here that you could either do monthly or yearly. For the sake of this, I'm just going to do monthly. You have the Covisum suite, social security timing, tax clarity, smart risk, income insights, and then you have the essential add-on, which is $130 a month for social security timing and then tax clarity. So you don't get the full suite for that 300. You get kind of a partial suite on it. And then you get the Covisum suite there. And you could see here tax planning, retirement, income planning. The one thing that I will say that I've seen in this platform that I didn't particularly love, other than the fact that you can't upload, which in my opinion is kind of a bummer here, is it just doesn't visually look all that appealing, right? And then you have all these random upsells through their website. Income Insight, $119 per month per advisor. Join thousands of who trust Covisum here. And can I take the trial of Income Insight? Right? Yes, you can. Nothing wrong with that otherwise. But I mean, when I say I went through a dozen videos to find demos, trainings, pieces of information on this, it was exhausting. There are some for FP Alpha. There are plenty for Holistiplan. You can also request demos from all three of them. But Covisum sells a full suite with Social Security timing, retirement income tools. And while that's great, it doesn't feel like a great software. Now, this is 100% a bit biased. I work on software and hardware all day, every day. It's my favorite thing. I have dozens of apps open. I own 5 computers myself. It's crazy. I spend a lot of time on computers. If your software is a little clunky or a little less polished and it's brand new, I always give it kind of that like, hey, they're working on it. This one, I don't get that feeling. And I think they also know it's not polished because not only did I have to do a lot of work to get into it and see and have fun with it. We don't have any customers on specifically Covisum, but they've asked and I've seen it and I've gone through tons of demos and trials through the entire thing. But the one thing that I just don't love is, and I think they know it, if you go through their whole website, you really see almost no screenshots of the software. I had to do digging for this one, right? It was on the chopping block for one of our customers after I did all the research. But if you go through any of these, you see like a little kind of screenshot of it. But this to me is not enough to say, hey, that's a great software. And just from a graphical user interface kind of point of view, those are going to be your tabs. You're going to be able to click into that. It'll expand down and then you put in all the information here. But less than desirable or clunky kind of software on top of having to add data manually is kind of a bummer in my opinion, right? You get a couple little screenshots here and there, but as a techie, when we go on our tech websites, we are constantly looking for demos for what the software actually looks like, integrations, all that good stuff. And I don't get that from Covisum. It doesn't mean it's a bad tool, but the user interface that I've seen over and over and over again, even when I was evaluating it, none of it was like great. And I think they understand that. That's really my honest take on it. It seems less polished. It's not that hard to implement optical character recognition in a software. It's not that hard to integrate AI, especially if you're building a tool like this into these tools. That, in my opinion, is kind of a big drawback. And I promise you, this is not to bash them at all. From what I could tell, they do a phenomenal job at what they do. But those things, as a techie, I like modern tools and technology and making my life easier. I'm not trying to make it any harder. So let's put all three side by side to wrap this thing up. On speed, Holistiplan scans a return in seconds. If it is crispy clean, I mean either from the mail and scanned in, or it is from something you downloaded online and uploaded, it is going to come back immediately. The only time that the OCR doesn't work is if you take it and your dog eats it and you kind of piece it together, and even then it's usually pretty good. FP Alpha takes a few minutes. AI has to scan the image. It literally takes a giant screenshot of it and then starts to, I picked the one page in this that has a full thing. But if I go through this, right, and this is once again a Rotary magazine, it takes a full screenshot of every single page and then begins saying, okay, that's an A, that's an S, that's a I, that's a T, right? And grabs that information, digests it. Not that it's wrong by any stretch of the imagination. That's just how it is. Covisum requires manual entry, no scanning at all. I hope that they see this video and they add it, and I will happily remake this video. On pricing, Holistiplan and FP Alpha both publish clear numbers on their websites. I don't want to, the numbers that I gave you before, just what are on their websites. I can't guarantee future pricing. Covisum publishes its standalone pricing tool, which is just a little bit weird to understand because there's upsells throughout the website that I don't know. It doesn't really make full sense to me. On features, Holistiplan and FP Alpha both handle tax, state tax and multi-year projections, and Covisum is weaker on state tax, but stronger on Social Security and IRMAA visualization. Only FP Alpha covers state and insurance in the same tool, which is kind of nice if that's something you're interested in. And here's my interface ranking. I think you kind of figured it out here, but Holistiplan just wins. It is just the developers. If you're watching this video, you did good. FP Alpha is definitely second best. A little bit clunkier, but the software is quite nice. And then last but not least, Covisum. And look, I get it. If they're an accountant, they're probably not using, well, look, we all know what QuickBooks is, right? It's not the most fun platform to use. They're accountants. Give them some slack. But that's my personal take on using them, playing around with them. For the ones that I played around with, getting demos, doing tons of research for this video, I encourage you to take a look for yourself. I will put all the links to these tools down below, so that way you can go figure out which one is the right one for you. But here's the bigger question that I get asked a lot. Should your tax tool be a standalone piece of software or a bigger part of a platform? That's only something you can answer. Holistiplan and Covisum are both standalone. They do one job and they do it well, even though you got to manually punch in information in Covisum. FP Alpha is more of a platform. It does a couple different things. It consolidates tax, estate, and insurance into one, which is kind of unique, but at the same time too, do you want that, or do you have other tools that handle those areas? And if that's the case, then Holistiplan or Covisum could be a really, really good fit for you. But a standalone tool that can go deeper on one thing might be what you're looking for. Only you have the answer to that. If you like a lot of tools, but you have to be careful. And as I wrap this thing up, and hopefully by this point I've earned a like button, subscribe button, notification bell. As you buy more software, and we see this a lot, you begin to have these overlaps that happen where some tools do certain things, but the other tool does it better. Is it better to have a tool that does one thing that integrates with the rest of your suite? Or is it better to have one tool that does or better yet, a stack that does several different tools that are built into or baked into one company? That is only something that you can answer. In the tech world, we use a lot of standalone tools that like to integrate, but there are some overlaps even in our world. It's just about figuring out what's best for you and your firm. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, like button, subscribe button, notification bell. We are gaining some subscribers slowly. I appreciate every single one of you guys for watching these videos, and I will see you guys on the next one.